Hello everyone, welcome to another amazing video. If you enjoy the content, I ask that you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the upcoming parts and new videos. Now, without further ado, let's get into today's video. Are you ready? Let's go.
We are in a room where there is a person lying down, apparently sick, and several people around. The one lying down is named Xiao. A woman is by his side, crying, for we do not see old Xiao in his better days. The fifth disciple, Shan, says that the old man is already exhausted and asks the senior disciple Kivan what they should do. Kivan says the answer is obvious. Sivan says he will go out to look for another elder to learn from, as staying there praying for this old body would not help Sivan get any stronger. Kivan thinks that this kind of person who goes out on a simple mission and comes back crippled and wounded is a complete waste of time for them. Kivan knows that if it weren't for him exposing the martial arts of the elder, surely the old man would not die like this. The second and third disciples, Haoran and Feng, just agree with Kivan. The fourth disciple, Zheng, says that it was about time for this old man to die. Zheng had been looking forward to this for a long time. Zheng emphasizes that all those who still cherish this monk time should be treated as one. The young master would become the disciple of the second elder, who has the highest number of female disciples. The girl who was there listening to all this gets angry at everything and clenches her hand while cursing everyone there. She stands up and shouts at everyone that if it weren't for Xiao, none of them would be able to surpass the cultivation limit and become immortals. She points out that it might now be too late, and the old man may turn into a pile of bones. She screams that all there were just ungrateful animals. This leaves everyone extremely angry. Feng approaches her and slaps her face, throwing her backward. As she fell to the ground, Feng tells her to have more respect. Feng was clearly irritated by her words and asks who she thinks she is to speak to him that way. Chivan draws Feng's attention, saying, if this poor thing wants to stay with the old man, let her stay. As Kivan was picking up some things, he says he had already taken everything of value that the old man could have. Feng, while carrying some things, smiles, saying the useless old man was a perfect match for his useless slave. The woman was still on the ground, trembling as she tried to stand up, thinking all there were nothing but traitors. She finally manages to get up from the ground and, with tears in her eyes, wonders how these traitors could do this. As she was on the ground, the elder calls her. She runs back to the bed's edge, asking if Xiao was okay. Because the ungrateful ones had already left, and she would take care of him. Xiao says that after he took her to the top of the mountain, he never asked if she wanted to become his disciple, nor did he even try to guide her cultivation. Xiao sighs and asks if she hates him. She's a bit embarrassed to answer and says she knows her roots and bones were not so good for cultivation. This woman's name is Ji. She explains that, in the beginning, Xiao saved her from a slave trader, and for that, Ji has always been deeply grateful. Since that moment, Ji never had any complaints. She emphasizes that she only hates the injustice of the heavens and the treacherous villains, for a good person never dies a good death. Xiao begins to sit up in bed and says that if he had accepted her as a disciple before. Xiao begins to cough before finishing the sentence. Zhi is worried about him. As Xiao looks at his hand, he notices there was blood on it and says, it seems he is about to die. Zhi kneels on the ground and kneels before Xiao. Zhi starts shouting, saying that if Elder Xiao does not hate her, then accept her as his disciple now. In the future, she will surely kill all those traitors who left here and avenge Elder Xiao. She makes it very clear that she will not stand up until Xiao accepts her as his disciple. This leaves Xiao somewhat impressed. Xiao turns to the front, places his hand on his chest, and says he might be on the brink of death, but he is not stupid. Then, Xiao asks Ji if he accepts this, wouldn't he just be hastening Xi's death? Ji, concerned for Xiao, asks him to stop moving around. Xiao takes a small bottle in his hand and says that this pill bottle is the last essence of condensation. Even though it's not great, it's the only thing he could offer her at the moment. Seeing this, Ji's eyes fill with tears. Ji asks Xiao to lie down and not worry so much about her, but Xiao tells Ji it's okay. He wouldn't die so quickly. After saying this, Xiao starts to cough and feels something very strong, dropping the bottle. The bottle breaks on the floor while his eyes start to close. He sees Z saying she was wrong and didn't need to become his disciple, but he needed to wake up anyway. Xiao starts to wonder if this really is his death. He thinks Ji is crying too loudly and it's hurting his ears. Xiao thinks he's very annoyed, and the reason for this is for not having accepted Ji as his apprentice earlier. He thinks his end has really come, but suddenly, a voice says, officially launching the disciple bonus system. Xiao is a bit confused seeing this and wonders what it could be, but he receives an infinite gold pill. Just one of these pills contains the equivalent of spiritual energy of about 10,000 essence gathering pills. This pill contains so much energy that it can be used to advance a whole realm of cultivation or heal any kind of injury. Xiao takes the pill in his hand and rubs it on his face while crying, saying he's been in this world for 20 years since he crossed over, and finally, the hack has arrived. 20 years ago, I, Xiao, arrived in this world due to a car accident. I thought I was the main character of an illustrious family with exceptional talents. I even reached the foundation building stage before I was 10 years old. But after I entered the Hongmeng sect, my cultivation stagnated, and I never made any progress again. I became the laughingstock of everyone. However, the heavens have given me a second chance. Xiao asks the system what this reward he received is. The system informs that, as the name suggests, the host will receive things in return for everything given to his disciple in the name of the master. Xiao asks if this also applies to skills and knowledge that his disciples receive. The system responds that, yes, it also counts under the teachings of the host. If the disciple's cultivation values advance or gain insights, the host will receive double the value. In simple terms, if the host transmits the equivalent of 200 days of cultivation to the disciple, the host will receive back the 200 days of cultivation. Similarly, if the disciple gains understanding of some type of sword technique under the teachings of the host, the same will receive X times in return. This means that the host will directly understand the sword skill to the level X. Xiao places his gold pill in his hand and asks the system if he gave this pill to his disciple, he would receive X times in return. The system says that, no. Items received as a reward from the system cannot be rewarded again. However, if the master teaches a disciple the skills that were given by the system, and the disciple gains new insights, it is not considered something from the system. Then, the master will receive a second reward. Xia says he understands and it's not something as simple as an infinite reward loop. Xiao decides to eat the pill, as he should take advantage of the opportunity. After consuming the golden pill, Xiao starts to emit a strong glow and rises from the realm to the golden core in one go. While all this was happening, Ji was still kneeling near Xiao's bed, trembling and crying, begging him to wake up. She says in a trembling voice that she doesn't want anything else, not revenge, doesn't need to be his disciple, much less receive gifts like essence pills. Ji just wants her master to wake up. Suddenly, Xiao places his hand on Ji's head, saying she should remember the first thing her master will teach. Ji lifts her head, with her eyes full of tears, surprised by this. As soon as Ji looks at her master, she sees that he is completely fine. Xiao is physically healed, with a strong energy coming out of his body. He tells Ji that if she has enemies, she should seek revenge and face everyone with ferocity, and the revenge should be doubly severe. Meanwhile, in another location, Feng knelt before a man, pleading for him to take him as his disciple and offering all of Xiao's secret martial arts in exchange. This place where Feng was is the Hongmeng sect, 6th peak. The man took the scroll offered to him by Feng and remarked that Xiao had indeed made an excellent disciple. The man pointed out that Xiao, who once was the star of the Hongmeng sect and considered himself unparalleled, ended up in such a state. It's unfortunate. This man is the elder of the 6th peak and head of the discipline hall, Wang Na. The elder told Feng that if he truly wished to become his disciple, it could indeed be possible. But the elder showed a ruler called the Ruler of Repentance. This ruler is capable of dissecting a person's spiritual roots. The elder said that if Feng could extract Xiao's spiritual root, then he would accept Feng as his personal disciple. However, Feng should be careful when holding this ruler, as once it comes into contact with blood, it won't easily come off without a proper method. Feng held the ruler and told the elder not to worry, as he, Feng, would not let the elder down. However, suddenly, a very strong attack came from behind Feng, hitting him in the back and throwing him into a wall. This attack left Feng severely injured. When Feng looked down, he was utterly terrified by what he saw. In the attack, his body was wounded, and his blood came into contact with the ruler, which was sucking his energy out of his body. This caused Feng to fall to the ground, screaming in pain and crying in despair. As he lay on the ground, he screamed, saying he couldn't die there as his path to immortality had just begun. Elder Wang Na, confused by all this, asked who could have done this. Looking up, the elder saw Xiao and Ji flying. Xiao looked at Wang Na and said that if he really wanted his spiritual roots, Wang Na should come and get them himself. Wang looked up and apologized to Xiao, saying it was just a joke he was playing on Feng and nothing serious. But, while saying this, Wang was actually wondering how Xiao had such a strong aura, as Feng had said Xiao was on the verge of death. It didn't make any sense. Xiao replied that if that was the case, then all was well. But unfortunately, Xiao wasn't joking. Wang Na. Xiao began to use his magic power and several swords appeared around him. Wang Na, seeing this, was impressed, as this was the Kanglang sword art technique. This reminded Wang Na of something. When I and Xiao entered the Hongmeng sect, Xiao gained the sect master's favor by creating the Kanglang sword art and received most of the cultivation resources. Luckily, I advanced to the Golden Core realm first, and Xiao became useless. Wang Na created a barrier around himself to defend against Xiao's attack. While Wang Na was inside his barrier, he told Xiao not to be foolish to attack him, as Wang Na had already advanced to the second level of the Golden Core. This meant that Xiao would have no advantage in this attack. As soon as Wang Na finished his sentence, his barrier was easily broken by Xiao's attack. This left Wang Na completely terrified by Xiao's strength. While Wang Na wondered how this could be happening, Xiao, with a slight smile on his face, asked if this was what a person of the second level of the Golden Core could do. Xiao's attack began, and the sword started flying around Wang Na, who was in shock thinking that the power Xiao was demonstrating was of the third level of the Golden Core, or even higher. As Wang Na pondered the power demonstrated by Xiao, one of the swords hit his hand, causing him to scream in pain. Wang Na emerged from the midst of the swords and shouted at Xiao, saying that if he dared to kill Wang Na, the sect would not forgive him for such an act. Xiao quite calmly questioned Wang Na if that could really be true, and highlighted that he was curious to know what the sect would be capable of doing once Wang Na was dead. Xiao turned his attack back to Wang Na, who, with no other option, decided to use a mysterious artifact. Upon using this artifact, a shield rose in front of him, protecting him. Wang Na thought to himself that unfortunately, this artifact only had 3 charges, and this was the last remaining charge. Wang Na considered this a huge loss, as he had intended to use this last charge when he was advancing to the nascent soul stage. Xiao observed this and thought to himself that Wang Na really did have some tricks up his sleeve. Xiao remarked that it seemed Wang Na had received quite a few gifts over the years. Suddenly, black lightning started to strike everywhere. Wang Na yelled Xiao's name, questioning if he really intended to continue with this. Xiao, with a determined look, questioned why he should stop. Xiao continued his attack, leading to a massive explosion. Amidst it all, Wang Na couldn't believe this was happening to him. Xiao's attack began to destroy everything around. After the attack ended, everything nearby was destroyed, and a huge hole was created on the ground. In the midst of all this, Wang Na was severely injured, cocking in pain. When Wang Na saw Xiao approaching, he was completely terrified and began screaming for Xiao not to come any closer. Xiao, as he approached, asked if the shield Wang Na was using was a top-tier artifact, classified as mysterious, because it managed to keep him alive in this world. Artifacts are divided into 5 levels: mortal, mysterious, earthly, celestial, and finally, immortal. Within each level, there are 4 grades: low, medium, high, and supreme. The shield used by Wang Na was of the mysterious class, high grade. Even within a sect, this would normally be considered a sect-defending treasure. Xiao hadn't expected Wang Na to have such a valuable treasure tucked away. Xiao didn't care much about that. In any case, it was going to end there. Xiao drew his sword and aimed to deliver a finishing blow, but Wang Na created one last barrier around himself and pleaded for Xiao to spare his life. Xiao paused because he heard a voice. This was Zhang He, the leader of the Hongmeng sect. He told Xiao not to act impulsively, as fights among sect members went against the sect rules and could lead to expulsion for both. Xiao turned to the sect leader and laughed, creating a small amount of energy in his hand. Wang Na, seeing Zhang He, thought the gods had given him a glimmer of hope. So he began to beg for help, saying Xiao was beating up everyone there. But in the blink of an eye, Zhang He used his power to strike Wang Na's face, telling him to shut up. Zhang He stated that Wang Na should come to the inquiry pool of the disciplinary hall so they could better analyze and see who truly deserved to be expelled from the sect. Wang Na, severely beaten on the ground, said in a trembling voice that it wasn't necessary. Zhang. He turned to Xiao and congratulated him for breaking through the Golden Core realm after so many tribulations. Xiao thanked Zhang He and said that if he hadn't evolved, he would probably have become someone's target, and his spiritual roots would have been removed. Wang Na shouted that it was a misunderstanding, and he would accept the sect's punishment. However, Wang Na said he hoped Xiao wouldn't use this against him in the future. Xiao crossed his arms and said that, out of respect for the sect leader, he would leave Wang Na alive for now. Xiao, looking back, saw Feng dragging himself on the ground. Xiao pointed out that Feng had committed an even greater crime than Wang Na, as betraying his master and repaying kindness with hostility was unacceptable. Therefore, Feng should be banned from entering the sect, and all his cultivation should be completely extracted. Feng tried to ask for the sect leader's help, but Zhang He simply said it was up to Xiao to handle as he wished. Ji, hearing this, started to run and said there was no need for her master to act. Feng, seeing this, called Ji useless and launched an attack against her. Ji stood completely still as the attack approached. Then, she began to gather magic in her hand and effortlessly defended against Feng's attack. This left Feng completely paralyzed, as Ji had been considered useless until recently. Feng asks when she had learned the Kanglang sword art. Hearing this, Xiao begins to explain that 3 days ago Zhai was sitting. The system pops up with Zhai's specifications. Name: Yan Nu, True Identity, Disciple, Comprehension, 260, Root, 15, Talent, Innate Immortal Sword. Inactive activation requires reaching the Foundation Establishment stage to gain recognition from the Lin family's ancestral sword embryo. Xiao thinks to himself how incredible innate immortal sword talent is. Ji asks what an innate immortal sword is. Xiao, with a suspicious look, says it's nothing much, just thinking that Ji might have talents with swords. Xiao says he would look for Feng so Ji couldn't be defenseless. Xiao cuts down a tree with his Kanglang sword art. He explains that this technique was created by him years ago and emphasizes that even if Ji could learn a little, it would be great. Ji forms a small sword with her magic and asks if it's something like this. Xiao says yes, she's doing very well. The system notifies that Ji has entered into the Kanglang sword art. Another window opens, stating that teaching the disciple the Kanglang sword art, a mortal grade sword art, rewards tenfold. The host is rewarded with the sky-slicing technique, high-level mysterious grade. This makes Ji the real treasure there. Ji approaches Feng, preparing to step on him, and starts saying that even with all the guidance from Master Xiao, Feng still couldn't learn to use this technique. Ji stares down at Feng, who begs Ji to stop. Then, she asks who the useless one is now and steps on his chest, causing Feng to scream in pain. Ji turns to her master Xiao, saying that the spiritual root of the traitor Feng has already been destroyed, and asks Xiao to verify. Xiao, looking at her, says, "She did a great job." Zhang He says that now Xiao has explained his punishment, it's Wang Na's turn to be punished. Zhang He asks to take Wang Na away to resolve the matter. Xiao turns to leader Zhang He and asks when Xiao said everything was finished. The leader Zhang He, a bit confused, asks Xiao what he's talking about, since a while ago, Xiao said he would spare Wang Na's life. As soon as Wang Na hears this, he gets up worried, asking what more Xiao wants from him. Xiao gives a slight smile, saying he indeed intends to leave Wang Na alive, but turns with a cold look and says he won't let Wang Na go just like that. Xiao says it will all depend on Elder. Wang Na's sincerity. Wang Na starts to smile and takes out a bag, saying all his treasures are inside. Then Wang Na offers the bag to Xiao, hoping it will be enough. Xiao uses his magic to quickly grab the bag, saying Elder Wang Na is a wise and truly enlightened person. Xiao thanks Wang Na for the gift, bids him farewell, and calls his disciple Ji to leave. As the two were leaving, Ji highly praises her master Xiao, who in turn says they would rest today, as tomorrow he himself would guide Ji's cultivation. Wang Na just watches all this. Leader Zhang he bids farewell to Wang Na and asks him to take care. Wang Na, with a battered face, is extremely annoyed with everything and thinks this won't end here. The next day, at the 7th peak, Xiao was checking what was in the bag he received from Wang Na. As Xiao looks through it, he sees there were a lot of things, even elixirs good for the Golden Core realm. Even though they were not of good quality, they would still serve. Xiao picks up 2 scrolls in his hand, one of mortal grade and the other of earth grade. Xiao thinks that this medium-grade primordial technique would be perfect for Ji to establish a foundation. Xiao looks over everything there and thinks that, amidst it all, the most valuable item would be this sword called the 5-element seal, earth grade, intermediate level. Xiao thinks none of it would be useful to him, as he needed nothing there. Then, Xiao decides to give everything to Ji, because when it comes to treasures, the system's rewards will always be better. Now that Xiao had looked through almost everything, only one thing remained: a small bag filled with high-level spiritual stones. Xiao thinks Wang Na must have mined a lot in recent days to have all this. Xiao thinks now it's all his, and he's rich. So maybe he'll create a small village one of these days. Ji arrives and knocks on the door, saying Xiao had told her to come in 2 hours for training. She asks if she can come in. Xiao says yes, asks Ji to sit with him. The cultivation realms for practitioners are postnatal, innate, chi refinement, foundation establishment, golden core, nascent soul, separation realm, integration realm, Mahayana realm, transcendental realm. Each realm is divided into 10 minor realms. The postnatal realm strengthens the blood energy to temper muscles, bones, and skin, enhancing physical strength and its quality. The innate realm fills the blood and chi to form internal energy, increasing the power of martial arts and physical defense up to the transcendental realm. Should you reach it, you may ascend to immortality, but this is only a level few have reached. Xiao and Ji sit opposite each other, touching hands. Xiao says he will start by teaching the primordial technique. He asks Ji to focus on comprehending with dedication. Ji agrees, so they begin. While Ji is extremely focused, Xiao is guiding her, telling her what she should do. Xiao says to circulate the qi behind her body a few times to gain understanding. The system window pops up again with the same specifications as before. Xiao sees that Ji only has 15 spiritual roots, so Xiao asks the system what the score of an ordinary person would be. The system shows it's between 50 and 60 points. This explains why Ji easily learns techniques, but when it comes to cultivation, she has a lot of difficulty advancing. Xiao decides he himself will have to force qi for her to refine her essence and marrow. Xiao places his hand near Ji's head, and energy starts to envelop her, passing through her entire body. Ji opens her eye, and now she is at the 10th stage of the postnatal realm. Ji is very worried about Xiao and questions him, asking why he did this, as providing qi directly like this can be extremely costly. It might cause the person to lose cultivation, regress realms, and even injure the provider's body. Xiao places his hand on her head and tells her to be at ease, as her master is very well. The system pops up for Xiao, notifying that he sent 100 days of cultivation to his disciple, and thanks to this, he gained 500 days of cultivation. Xiao, seeing this, thinks he's actually much better off than before. Xiao gives a bag full of riches to Ji, saying all this was a gift from him to her, as before he didn't have much to offer, but now he can provide good things. Ji, seeing this, becomes extremely happy, as she had never received such treatment before. The system shows Xiao gave Ji a 3rd-grade Huan pill and 10 2nd-grade pills. Then, he will receive 15 times this. The system shows he received a 4th-grade Huan pill. Ji thanks her master Xiao again for having saved her life in the past and now teaching her for the future. She says she will serve him at any time he needs. The system shows again that Xiao gave 17 martial arts to Ji, then received 20 times reward for this. Xiao obtained a celestial grade, supreme ranked 1,000-mile sword art. Xiao tells Ji not to be so modest with him, as everything that's his is also hers. Xiao asks Ji to train carefully today. After she has managed to absorb this, he will give her more than qi directly for her cultivation. Ji is surprised, as there will be next times. The system shows Xiao gave Ji the martial art 5-element seal, mid-rank earth grade, and for this, he was rewarded 20 times, receiving a gentle wandering sword, supreme rank earth grade. Ji doesn't understand how her master can give her so much qi. So, she tells him to be more careful, as this might be charged, it doesn't seem safe. Xiao smiles, saying he is very well, and if Ji does not believe him, she just has to wait a little, as he will soon go into seclusion for 3 days. Xiao guarantees that he will rise to level 5 of the Golden Core realm. Ji gets excited and says she will protect Xiao while he is cultivating. If anyone comes close, she will take care of it. Xiao tells Ji to be careful and not to stress too much and to practice properly. Ji says it's okay and will practice right now. Xiao opens the system window to check all his rewards. Xiao takes the Huan pill in his hands and thinks he had heard about it before. This pill can only be cultivated by someone who has a nascent soul. The heavenly materials required are the rarest to find for 4th grade elixirs. Xiao thinks that even if he searched the entire Hongmeng sect, he probably wouldn't find even 5 of these pills. But that still wasn't really what Xiao was eyeing, as the reward Xiao most wanted is the 1,000-mile sword art. This art is practically the pinnacle of all fencing. If Xiao combines the 1,000-mile sword art with his new high-level earth-grade sword, Gentle Wandering Sword, it becomes basically unbeatable. Xiao gets excited about all this and decides to test the real power this combination could have. Xiao sends a small attack at a stone and easily destroys the stone. Xiao is surprised by the 1,000-mile sword art, as this skill emphasizes the way the sword is manipulated. Xiao thinks that if he gathers more swords, or gets more valuable swords, it would be child's play to challenge stronger realms. But that would be for another time, as now Xiao will assimilate the cultivation received from the system. Xiao is quite confident this time. He believes he might reach, or even surpass the 5th stage of the Golden Core. Meanwhile, in the Wang sect market, Zhang and Li Shan were walking carefree until, out of nowhere, 2 women start commenting on Xiao, saying he recently ascended to the Golden Core, and that Xiao had a confrontation with Elder Wang at the 6th peak, and apparently Xiao defeated Wang in a humiliating way. This caught their attention. The 2 women highlighted that Xiao was willing to sacrifice his own spiritual roots to assist his disciple. The other woman says that's so perfect and envied people who had a master like that. The 2 were completely in love with Xiao. Li Shan, upon hearing this, starts to think, could Xiao really have been able to help and pass his skills to that Ji? The other 2 women who were with Wang Zheng ask him and Li Shan why they left the 7th peak. Wang Zheng answers the women that everything they were hearing was a lie, as Xiao was a complete idiot who mistreated his students, and that's why they left there. While Wang Zheng and Li Shan were with these women, Lin Haran was just. Watching all this, he starts to think that Xiao, besides having a new disciple, was still able to move to the Golden Core. Not to mention that Elder Wang was not able to defeat him. Lin Haran wonders if this could really be true. So, he decides to see with his own eyes. At the gate of the 7th peak, a man stands in front of Xiao and Ji. This man says he was sent there on behalf of the sect leader Zhang He. This man introduces himself and says he is Ye Chen, the senior disciple of Zhang He. Ye Chen says he came to warn that the great sect competition will be in 100 days, so Xiao should prepare for such an event. Ye Chen looks at Ji and apologizes for what he is about to say, but in Ye Chen's view, Ji is a seemingly weak person. By her talent in the great competition, Ye Chen thinks she will lose and cry over the defeat. Ji gets angry when she hears this, but Xiao steps forward and says that Ye Chen has a somewhat limited view. Ye Chen is a little startled by this. Xiao says that Ji was a person completely without cultivation 3 days ago, and now is already at the 10th stage of the postnatal stage. Xiao asks Ye Chen what he thinks of Ji's rate of evolution if she really seems irrelevant. Ye Chen is dumbfounded and can't believe what he heard and asks Xiao if he is joking. Xiao says that if Ye Chen doesn't believe him, then Zi is free to show who's boss. Zi obeys immediately and starts to emit flames from her body. Ye Chen, scared seeing this, says that this really is the 10th stage of the postnatal realm, but Ye Chen can't understand how this is possible. Lin Haran, who was hiding and watching all this, is also surprised. Xiao turns back to return to his realm and says that anything is possible. Zhi makes a face, proving Ye Chen wrong and saying it served him right. Lin Haoran, still hidden, thinks that a useless person like Zhi could not have risen in such a way with her own talent. Clearly, Xiao used his qi to help Zhi. Lin Haoran thinks that the person who directly transfers their qi to another person faces major problems, including in their cultivation. Lin Haoran can't believe Xiao went to such lengths to help Zhi. Then, Lin Haoran thinks it would be a good time to extort some things from Xiao. After all this, in the hall of the third peak, Lin Haoran is before Elder Meng Yu, who is asking Lin Haoran if everything he said is true, that Xiao took everything from Wang Na and transmitted the peak of the supreme technique to his disciple. Meng Yu asks if there is anything they can do. Lin Haoran tells Meng Yu that he is the strongest in the sect and should receive the most resources. What Xiao is doing is just squandering the sect's resources. Hearing this, Meng Yu gives permission for Lin Haoran to personally take care of it. Meng Yu emphasizes that if Lin Haoran really manages to defeat Xiao, then he will be accepted as a direct disciple. Lin Haoran thanks him for the opportunity. Meanwhile, in the training room of the seventh peak, Xiao and Zhi are sitting. Xiao asks Zhi if she is ready, as today she will break through to the inner realm and cleanse her meridians. Xiao notes that if everything goes right, in the future, Zhi will be able to cultivate with less effort and more ease. However, for that to happen, she will have to endure very strong pain. Zhi says she is ready and remembers everything Ye Chen said before and promises that as soon as she gets stronger, she will not accept this anymore and everyone will pay attention to her. Xiao sees that although Ye Chen has been spoiled by the sect leader, the encounter between Zhi and Ye Chen was very good. It made her more motivated, and it is this motivation we need. Xiao thinks this really is the moment for Zhi to break through to a higher realm and perform a cleansing on her meridians. Xiao takes a small bag in his hand, and from it takes out a 4th-class meridian cleansing pill. Xiao was able to buy them thanks to the riches he took from Wang Na. Xiao decides to start and prepares to begin the training. As soon as it starts, Zhi tries to concentrate as much as possible. Joy thinks this is more painful than she was thinking, but after the pain passes, Zhi feels as if her whole body becomes lighter. A system window opens, informing that Xiao transferred 200 days of cultivation to Zhi, increasing her aptitude by 70 points as a reward. This was doubled, resulting in 400 days of cultivation and the low-class autumnal water sword technique of Earth rank. Xiao, seeing this, thinks it is finally done. Xiao is very satisfied, as the feeling of gaining something is very good. Now Xiao is at the 6th level of the Golden Core. Zhi finally opens her eyes and feels much better, as she is now at the 1st innate level. Zhi asks if this is a technique to purify the meridians and marrow, and completes asking if now that she has reached the celestial realm, if this was enough to face Ye Chen. A window opens again, showing Zhi's information. Name, Zhenu. True identity. Disciple. Understanding. 260. Aptitude. 85. Talent. Innate body sword. Not activated activation condition. Reach the foundation realm. Obtain recognition of the ancestral sword embryo of the Lin family. Xiao laughs and touches Zhi's face, telling her to be brave and take Ye Chen down. If Zhi defeats Ye Chen, Xiao promises to take her to the World Genius Challenge. Zhi is extremely happy with this, asking if she really can do all this. Suddenly, someone starts knocking on the door, leaving Zhi and Xiao surprised. This person calls for Xiao, saying that one of his disciples had been seriously injured while collecting medicinal herbs for his treatment, and asks Xiao to come outside to take a look. Xiao, already suspicious, decides to follow. As he was leaving, Zhi was just wondering who it could be and if her master really had other students besides her. As soon as Xiao opens the door, Zhi is surprised to see Lin Haoran lying on the ground. Lin Haoran, with a trembling voice, calls for his master, referring to Xiao, and says that unfortunately, he is still weak because he managed to recover only one blood dragon plant, and asks Xiao to take the plant. Zhi screams furiously that Lin Haoran is just a traitor who swore loyalty to the third peak and asks what he is doing there. Lin Haoran, still lying on the ground, tries to explain with a still trembling voice, saying it's just a misunderstanding and the only reason Lin Haoran entered the third peak was to get this life-saving plant for his master. The disciples of the Third Peak's elder Meng Yu say that Lin Haoran almost died to get this plant and doesn't need to speak to him in that way. Meng Yu adds, saying that for 3 consecutive days Lin Haoran had kneeled asking Meng Yu for help, and this moved Meng Yu. Zhi doesn't accept any of these words, saying they are just distorting the truth. It's clear that Lin Haoran betrayed Xiao and is now trying to navigate the situation with this ridiculous act. Xiao asks Zhi to calm down and leave this matter to him. Xiao asks Lin Haoran why he is there if he had already sworn loyalty to the Third Peak's elder. Xiao smiles with a cold expression and asks if Lin Haoran really wants to return to his side. Lin Haoran kneels in front of Xiao, saying he recognizes the weight of his sins, and for having betrayed his master, he is unworthy. However, Lin Haoran begs for forgiveness and asks that Xiao accept this blood dragon herb. The disciples of Meng Yu, watching this scene from afar, start to think that Xiao is very healthy and doesn't need this herb. Another disciple says that Lin Haoran's talent is deteriorating, and if he doesn't get a Class 4 pill, his future in cultivation will be very bleak. The two look at Xiao, saying it's good he has such a pill in reserve. Because of him, Lin Haoran was harmed. Lin Haoran looks back with a smile on his face, saying that's not true. Xiao, hearing all this, seems to have an idea and says he really was in need of that herb to help his health and asks Zhi to confirm. She immediately hugs Xiao, saying it's all true. Lately, Xiao has been very weak. The 4, seeing this, are shocked. Lin Haoran gets a bit irritated with all this and wonders when Xiao became such a liar. Even though Lin Haoran needs to get this pill by any means, to not be a loser. Lin Haoran goes back to his act and says that Xiao should take this plant and use it, because it wouldn't be right for someone as unworthy as Lin Haoran to continue with such a plant. Xiao, in the blink of an eye, takes the plant from Lin Haoran's hand and goes back to Zhi, saying everything is resolved and they would have chicken stew for dinner. Zhi doesn't understand anything that's happening. A system window notifies that Xiao gave Zhi a first-class plant blood dragon herb, and with that, he received 5 times more in a second-class blood dragon plant. Lin Haoran starts coughing and says he is happy if he can help his master. The 2 disciples of Meng Yu hold him. One of them says that Lin Haoran put his own cultivation at risk to help his master, even though Xiao didn't return the favor. They ask Meng Yu to defend Lin Haoran. Meng Yu says to Xiao that human lives are at stake, and as representatives of the sect, they could not just stand by watching this. Meng Yu emphasizes that if these news spread, the 7th Peak would still be able to get disciples in the future. Xiao stops in front of everyone, saying there's no need to hurry. Then, Xiao approaches Lin Haoran, saying that since the 2 had a relationship of student and master, he could not stand there watching Lin Haoran die. Xiao emphasizes that he has a small concern because as Lin Haoran had many offenses in the 7th Peak, Xiao fears that his body might not withstand the pressure of the pill. So, Xiao offers to cleanse his meridians. Meng Yu, seeing this, thinks that Xiao values talent highly. Meng Yu believes that Xiao indeed intends to pass on his skills to his students, and if he does this frequently, then there must be some technique Xiao uses to minimize the side effects. Therefore, Meng Yu should pay close attention to everything. Xiao touches Lin Haoran's neck, saying that he risked his life for Xiao, so Xiao could not just leave him in this state. Xiao holds Lin Haoran's hand, and energy begins to glow, leaving Lin Haoran a bit frightened by everything. After a few seconds, Lin Haoran starts to feel a lot of pain, and his mouth foams. Meng Yu's 2 disciples look at this and wonder how the cultivation of the disciples turned so tragic. Meng Yu tells them to pay more attention, as they were just treating the hardships that Master Lin Haoran went through. Lin Haoran realizes that Xiao wasn't passing his skills to him, but was instead taking his cultivation energy and destroying his meridians. Lin Haoran was trying to scream for help but couldn't speak, as Xiao, by touching his neck, used a technique that left him voiceless. Lin Haoran realized he was doomed if this continued. Meanwhile, Meng Yu finds everything natural, saying that Lin Haoran was doing a great job. After the process, Lin Haoran falls completely destroyed on the ground. Xiao says that he finished applying an extremely powerful technique to heal Lin Haoran's entire body. But because his cultivation was very low, he might not withstand it. Xiao asks Meng Yu to take Lin Haoran back and let him rest. Xiao leans on Zhi, saying that he is a bit tired because he used a lot of his own energy and needs to rest a bit. Meng Yu starts to laugh, thinking that he couldn't understand exactly the technique used by Xiao, but clearly, his aura is considerably lower. This means that it's a great time to try. Meng Yu jumps to attack Xiao. Ji screams for him to be careful. But Xiao smiles, as he was prepared for this. Then, he quickly turns around and easily defends against the attack. Xiao, smiling, asks how Meng Yu had the courage to use such a situation to attack a weak individual like Xiao, who just helped a man on the brink of death. Meng Yu, seeing this, is shocked by the situation and wonders if this was really a favorable time and how Xiao has such strong energy. Xiao uses his energy and throws Meng Yu away. Meng Yu falls to the ground. His disciples run to help him. Xiao turns around as if nothing had happened and calls Jie to cook a chicken. She, as always, is excited, agrees, and begins to prepare with Xiao. Lin Haran wakes up and screams, asking what the two were waiting for to act. The two look at each other and prepare for battle. One of them takes some hidden items that Meng Yu had won during one of his travels. This can be controlled through a special technique. It disappears into the air without leaving any scent, a completely invisible attack. No one was able to counteract this before they came to the 7th peak. Meng Yu gave this to him and made clear how to use it if it came to this point. Then, he launches it towards Xiao. However, Xiao dodges as if it were nothing, making it seem like a joke. The item hits the door and starts to corrode. Xiao, looking at this, thinks that it really is something different. However, as soon as he consumed the limitless golden pill, his senses improved greatly, allowing Zhao to perfectly sense killing intent. Otherwise, Zhao could be in serious trouble. Now, Zhao looks at the two who didn't understand how Zhao had dodged the attack, but it didn't matter, as they were going to continue attacking. Zhao tells Ji to use the Kanglang sword technique, target southeast. Ji summons her sword and prepares for the attack. With a simple movement, she defends against the attack. Ji is astonished by what she did. A system window appears, saying that a reward was given. C. 0 stone. Detected that the disciple, under the guidance of the master, comprehended the intent of the Kanglang sword. First stage, reward tripled. Obtained the Dragon Spirit Armor, Earth category, intermediate class. Xiao looks at Ji and thinks he had expected this. Ji's innate body sword she learned recently, although she is already able to understand the sword intent. Meng Yu's two disciples are completely astonished by this, for even over the nascent soul realm, even the realm gathering separation would not be able to detect this attack. They ask who the hell Zai is. Lin Horan, crawling on the ground, screams that he needs to get out of there quickly. Zai notices this and, looking at Lin Horan, who had betrayed his master and harmed his ancestors, how Lin Horan had the courage to try to harm his master. Now, hearing this, Lin Horan gets scared. Zai jumps with her sword and says it's unforgivable. Lin Horan tries to flee, but Zai's attack hits him with great force. Lin Horan falls completely defeated on the ground, saying with his trembling voice that this could not be happening. One of the disciples tells him not to approach. Master Meng Yu says it will not end like this, for Xiao harmed their companion. The sect master will not let this pass. The other disciple says they should not fear Ji, for they are in the foundation stage and another in the golden core, and Ji was just in innate cultivation. However, the other disciple points behind Ji, saying they were not seeing what was really there. When they look, Xiao is with a bloodthirsty look. Xiao touches Ji's shoulder, but she tells Xiao not to worry and rest, for she would take care of everything for him. But Xiao says he wanted to teach Ji something, and, with the same look, says that sometimes dying is more convenient than living. The two start to stutter, asking what Xiao was thinking of doing, and ask him not to approach any further. Xiao, while walking directly towards them, asks if they are regretting their actions. Unfortunately, it's too late now. A few hours later, in front of the secte leader, Xiao reports the whole occurrence, saying that Meng Yu, along with a traitor from the sect, came to provoke without any reason. And to protect his and his disciples' integrity, Xiao and Ji killed Lin Haoran and crippled the cultivation of 2 disciples from the 3rd peak. With all this, Xiao hopes the sect leader understands and does not try to punish the 7th peak for it. Leader Zhang, he just looks at all this. Zhang He says that, although the traitor is dead, there may still be remnants. The leader emphasizes that repeatedly violating the sect rules cannot be forgotten. Several times, Xiao lowers his head and says the leader is correct, and he, Xiao, respectfully follows the sect leader's instructions. Meng Yu stands up and says the leader is being biased towards Xiao, for clearly he is distorting the real facts, talking nonsense. Meng Yu says he went to the 7th peak with good intentions, and Xiao killed one of his disciples, breaking the sect rules, and this should be punished with expulsion. Xiao responds that it was not quite a visit, as he had already taken Lin Haran as one of his disciples. Meng Yu should be responsible for Lin Haran's life and death. Xiao asks what the purpose was in taking him to the 7th peak. Xiao completes saying that visits do not need prior preparations and throws the needles used in the attack. Xiao asks Meng Yu if he thinks he can easily deceive the sect leader like this. Meng Yu, stuttering, tells Xiao not to make false claims like that. Leader Zhang. He slams his hand on his chair, showing he was annoyed with all this. He emphasizes that it really is unusual to see Meng Yu defending the sect rules like this. The leader says that since Meng Yu started all this, they should let Meng Yu set an example by voluntarily losing his cultivation according to the sect rules. Meng Yu, upon hearing this, kneels down again, begging for mercy. Zhang. He stands up and says, "That's enough. This matter would end here." As punishment for Meng Yu's behavior, he should undergo 3 months of physical penance and 1 month of reflection facing the cliff, and there will be no further discussion. Xiao thanks, saying the sect leader is very wise. The guards arrive to take Meng Yu, who is disbelieving to this point. While being taken away, Meng Yu looks at Xiao and says he would take revenge no matter the cost. While all this was happening, Ji was training seriously in the 7th Peak's training hall. Xiao opens the door and asks how Zi's comprehension was going, but as soon as he opens the door, she gets startled and quickly gets up, starting to run around Xiao, apologizing for having acted that way with the traitor. And if the sect leader had applied any punishment, she would take full responsibility. Xiao calms her down, saying that it was nonsense in her head. She wasn't at fault for anything, and she should be more at ease, for Xiao would protect her from everything and everyone. No one would be able to harm her. Xiao touches Ji on the shoulder and tells her to remember these words well. From today onwards, whether it's traitors, gods, Buddhas, emperors, or ministers, if anyone dares to offend Ji or Xiao, he himself would retaliate. All this leaves Ji with a face red from excitement. Xiao says that even if the sky falls, he will still be by Ji's side to protect her. Ji starts to cry and falls to her knees, showing gratitude. Seeing this, Xiao asks what she was doing. Xiao lifts Ji up and asks her to simply say if she wants to say something. Zi says there are some things she feels should not be hidden from Xiao. Zi says her real name is Lin Ji, and she is the daughter of the Lin family, the rulers of the Southwest. Xiao is surprised by this, as the Lin family was a recognized martial arts family in the Southwest. Xiao thinks that 10 years ago something happened and everyone was annihilated overnight. Ji, with her eyes full of tears, begins to explain that 10 years ago, the Lin family discovered a huge spiritual stone vein on their territory, and this was a great breakthrough. The abundance of spiritual stone resources was enough to establish a power similar to the Hongmeng sect overnight. Ji's father, who was the head of the Lin family at the time, immediately ordered that this matter should not be disclosed, fearing it would attract disaster. However, Ji's uncle, driven by selfish motives, sold this information to the Luoyun sect because he was dissatisfied with the distribution of mineral resources by Ji's father. Ji's uncle wanted to be the head of the family, and, since they didn't let him do such a thing, then he sold the information wishing that everyone would die to take advantage of the spiritual mine. The Luoyun sect murdered more than 100 members of Ji's family. The Lin family survived only under her father's protection. Ji was able to survive by a stroke of luck. When Zi managed to escape from all that, she encountered bandits on the way who robbed her of all her money and sold her to slavers. Zi says fortunately her master Xiao found her, otherwise Ji can't even imagine where she would be at this moment. Hearing this, Xiao burst into tears, saying he had no idea that his disciple's life was so miserable. Now it's clear why Ji hates traitors. Her seriousness is justified. Xiao grabs Ji by the arm, saying they would go down the mountain. Ji asks why they would do that and where they would go. Xiao says Ji begged Xiao to be her master, and out of respect for that, he should avenge everything. Xiao looks into Ji's eyes and smiles, saying that as her master, he would go with her to the Luo Yun sect to avenge everyone with their own hands. Ji starts to cry again upon hearing this. Ji runs and hugs Xiao, saying she just wanted to see him live a peaceful life and, if necessary, she would spend the rest of her life kneeling just to fulfill that. Xiao tries to calm her down, saying she doesn't need to say those words at the moment. They must head for the peak. The future is limitless. Xiao calls Ji to leave, and she agrees. In the middle of the forest outside the city, two people were fighting when suddenly another person arrives there. These two people are Bai Luori and Linqing Xuan. As soon as Bai Luori sees the leader, he raises his sword enraged, saying he should have known who was behind this, for letting all these other people die one by one, consuming their energy. Only this guy is capable of doing such a thing, isn't that right, Zhang Yi? This man is named Zhang Yi. He is from the Sun and Moon Ghost sect. Zhang Yi smiles, saying it's no wonder Bai Luori was a disciple of Fairy Zhu, as Bai Luori was able to kill several men there. Zhang Yi highlights that the green twin swords technique certainly deserves its reputation. Zhang Yi leaps towards the two, declaring that it all ends there. Bai Luori and Linqing Xuan brace for battle, but suddenly, a beam of energy shoots between the three, causing everyone to halt. Zhang Yi turns angrily, questioning who did that. Linqing Xuan and Bai Luori, startled, gaze at the hole created in the stone. Ji appears, frustrated with energy in her hand, lamenting that she unfortunately missed her attack. Xiao, quite calmly, mentions he had warned that Ji's attack was timed too early, which is why she missed. Zhang Yi turns and comments that all this was caused by such a beauty, mockingly asking how she plans to compensate him. Ji dislikes Zhang Yi's tone and declares his arrogance warrants death. Ji advances on Zhang Yi, but with a simple move Zhang Yi disarms Ji, telling her that her master should have advised her against such actions if she's not strong enough. Linqing Xuan and Bai Luori, witnessing this, shout for Ji to be careful, concerned for her, but Ji is entirely focused on her task and tells Zhang Yi that the only thing her master taught her was not to pity fools like Zhang Yi. Then Ji uses her magic and a glow forms behind Zhang Yi, and before he can react, several swords strike him from behind, causing Zhang Yi to scream in pain. Ji takes Zhang Yi's Qiankun bag and brings it to Xiao, noting it contains nothing of great value, just some spiritual stones and elixirs. Xiao suggests she should just keep the bag. Linqing Xuan and Bai Luori approach Ji and Xiao, thanking them for their help. They introduce themselves as students of Elder Zhu Xuan from the Hongmeng sect and inquire about their names. Xiao introduces himself, pleased to meet them, as Elder Xiao of the 7th Peak, and introduces Ji as his student. Linqing Xuan and Bai Luori are surprised to meet Xiao and express their gratitude again. Xiao dismisses the formalities and inquires why they were in such a remote location fighting against the Sun and Moon. Ghost Sect. Bai Luori explains that the Ghost Sect has always harbored resentment towards the Hongmeng sect. Some members even relish in killing monks, and the prior conflict was over this plant, the colorless grass of 1,000 years low grass. This plant comes in 5 quality levels: low, human, mystic, earthly, celestial, and immortal. Among them are 4 grades: inferior, medium, superior, and absolute. Bai Luori mentions that although this plant serves merely as a base for creating foundation stage pills, they are still highly valuable. He emphasizes the rarity of these plants. This one, for instance, was unexpectedly found at an auction due to leaked information. The leaked monetary information drew Zhang Yi's attention, leading to them being followed. Out of respect and gratitude, Bai Luori offers the plant to Xiao, stating that if he hadn't arrived in time, the plant would surely have been stolen by the Ghost Sect. Seeing this, Xiao remarks that Bai Luori would likely use this herb to refine foundation stage pills, significantly increasing the chance of success in the foundation stage. Xiao questions Bai Luori if he truly wishes to give it to him. Linqing Xuan and Bai Luori gaze intently at Xiao. Then Bai Luori responds that his master always taught them to be thankful for generosity and always avenge their enemies. With that, Bai Luori pleads for Xiao to accept the herb as a token of gratitude. Xiao agrees to accept, but since they are esteemed students of Elder Zhu, as soon as Xiao refines the pills, he will share them. Bai Luori thanks again and attempts to hand the herb to Xiao, but Xiao looks back and suggests it's a bit early to receive such a gift and calls for everyone's attention, as he intends to teach 3 lessons to all present. Xiao advises that in the future, when they kill someone, they should focus on eradicating the root of the problem and demonstrates by launching a sword with his magic at a tree, slicing it in half. 2 people appear beside the tree that was just cut down. Bai Luori, with a frightened face, yells asking when they hid there. The woman, still crouched, says that he was acting extremely arrogant even though he is at the 1st level of the Golden Core. These 2 are called Bai Yanzi, who is at the 3rd level of the Golden Core, and Qing Yang. She is at the 4th level of the Golden Core. Bai Yanzi says he doesn't know how Xiao had the courage to kill their disciple. Fortunately, they were nearby. So unfortunately, it's time for Xiao to die. Xiao says he heard about the 2 elders of the Lunar and Solar Phantom sect a while ago, known as the Yin and Yang deities. Their soul recovery abilities are unmatched, and capturing targets is just a matter of time. It must be you 2, right? Xiu thinks that before leaving the 7th peak, he used techniques to hide his aura. Clearly, these 2 don't have that much discernment. Bai Yanzi looks at Xiao and says that even knowing their reputation, he still does not show fear. This makes Bai Yanzi even more excited for the combat. Bai Yanzi swings his chains trying to hit Xiao, but he easily dodges the first attack. Xiao looks at the trunk of the tree that the chain touched and notices something different. Bai Yanzi creates a kind of whirlwind with his chains, leaving Xiao in the middle of them. Bai Yanzi says that these chains were fused with blood and qi of thousands of people. Even a nascent soul cultivator will be turned into bones if they touch them. Xiu continues to dodge all the chain attacks and thinks that Bai Yanzi's words are very extravagant. As long as he keeps dodging, everything will be fine. But just as Xiu finishes saying these words, he feels something strange and, looking down, sees several magical skeletons coming out of the ground and holding his feet. Qing Yang, with her staff in hand, says that this staff allows her to use the souls of thousands of people as a sacrifice. Once you enter, you will never come out. Xiao, seeing this, gives a little laugh and says they still managed to coordinate attacks together. Not bad. Qing Yang screams for him to die, as now Xiao was being grabbed by several souls and chains were everywhere surrounding him. Zhi and the other 2 were completely desperate seeing this. Xiao closes his eyes, and a second later several magical swords appear around him. Xiao launches them towards the 2. Bai Yanzi becomes a bit more relaxed, saying that Xiao is merely taking form at the spiritual energy stage, and yet still wants to face the 2 magical treasures at once. Qing Yang, as soon as she sees Xiao's attack, is a bit shocked, asking them to be calm. One of the swords, as soon as it hits the chains, pierces them with extreme ease, leaving Bai Yanzi completely desperate, as he did not expect this. The sword hits Bai Yanzi, throwing him back. Qing Yang, as soon as she sees this, is completely scared by the whole situation and thinks this is not normal. How does Xiao's sword have so much power? This is very bad. Qing Yang tries to flee. Zhi, seeing this, yells to Xiao that she is running away while Qing Yang ran desperately. She thinks those swords are not normal, because even a high-level sword being wielded by a nascent soul stage cultivator would not be so powerful. As soon as Zhi alerts him, Xiao focuses and asks if Qing Yang really thought she was going to run away. Xiao unleashes his power towards Qing Yang, stating that she should die. Qing Yang uses the souls within her staff again, asking them to block this attack. Xiao's sword continues to advance towards the center, heading towards Qing Yang. Once this formation is broken, all the spirits will be freed. As soon as the spirits hear this, they stop and refuse to protect Qing Yang, who becomes confused and tells the spirits that Xiao is the enemy, and therefore, they should protect Qing Yang. But the spirits turn against Qing Yang and start to bite and attack her. Thus, the curse is broken, and Zhao frees them to go their own ways. Linking Xuan and Bai Luori are completely amazed by Zhao's immense strength, as the 2 villagers from the Lunar and Solar Ghost sect were just killed by Elder Zhao with just 2 moves. Linking Xuan thinks that now Xiao might even be in the nascent soul realm. Zhi comes running, all happy, saying that all the treasure from the 2 who were just defeated was there with her. Xiao approaches and smiles, congratulating Zhi and saying she is getting better and better at collecting spoils. Xiao tells Ji that there is a Qiankun bag that belongs to Zhang Yi so Ji could keep it. As soon as Ji hears this, her eyes light up with happiness. Ji, very happy with this, thanks her master Xiao for the gift. Linking Xuan and Bai Luori are agape, seeing that Xiao was giving all the economy of the elders from the lunar and solar ghost sect to Ji, who was just a disciple. Ji was now boasting with 10,000 low-rank spirit stones and many elixirs. Zhai asks her master Xiao how she was going to use all this by herself. Xiao says that he had already given everything to Ji, so she should save and use it very carefully. Xiao thinks it's time to see what the system gave him as a reward. The system notifies that it was detected that the host gave to his apprentice 68,720 low-rank spirit stones, 4,600 intermediate-rank spirit stones, 36 second-stage cores, 16 third-stage flying locust condensed pills, merciless millennium herb, 100 cubic meters Kenkun ring, 250 cubic meters Kenkun bags. The system announces that it was calculating the rewards. After a few seconds, the system shows the rewards, which are a level 4 immortal nourishing pill, a 15,000 cubic meters Kenkun ring, 5 merciless millennium herbs, 2,000 absolute class spirit stones. Xiao is very surprised with all that he has just received. Xiao stops for a moment and smiles, as he had received 2,000 absolute class spirit stones. There are 4 classes of spiritual stones: low, intermediate, superior, and absolute. The exchange value between the higher levels is 1 to 100. This means that Xiao has 2 billion low-class spiritual stones. Xiao celebrates happily, as he just became rich overnight. She goes to Xiao and asks him if she could give these 2 bags to Linking Xuan and Bai Luori, since she already had a Qiankun ring. Bai Luori says they cannot accept it, as it is too valuable. Xiao pats Ji on the head and says that he had given it to her, so Ji could do whatever she wants with all the gifts. Ji smiles and hands the 2 bags to them, asking them to take good care of them. Linking Xuan and Bai Luori cry with happiness, saying that Ji and Xiao were good people. Bai Luori thinks that he is envious of Ji for having such a selfless master. After some time, Xiao and Ji arrive at the Luoyun city, alchemy room. After entering, there are several people inside focused. Ji asks Xiao what they were doing there. Xiao explains that the ruthless millennium herb they just obtained outside the city can be used to refine foundation creation pills for Ji. To avoid losing the efficacy of the medicine, they would refine the elixir first and then go to the Luoyun sect. Ji, hearing this, becomes extremely happy with her master. A woman hears the conversation. Her name is Su Muhan. As soon as she hears this conversation, she is surprised because one must be at least at the golden core cultivation level to refine foundation creation pills. Su Muhan, seeing Xiao, thinks he looks too young for such an achievement, but as she takes another look, she sees Xiao cultivating calmly, which impresses her. Suddenly everything explodes. Xiao and Ji are thrown away by the explosion. Ji, embarrassed, asks if Xiao really knows how to make elixirs. Xiao opens his fan and tries to cover his face while responding that he had never made a foundation creation pill before. Su Muhan comes over and says that if they wish to perfect a foundation creation pill, she could help them. Ji gets excited, saying that would be great, but Xiao was a bit suspicious of all this. Su Muhan says that the foundation creation pill requires pouring a large amount of spiritual energy into it, and Xiao would have to do this alone. The other people watching think Su Muhan is teaching for free. It seems she really has a good heart. Xiao, looking at Su Muhan's shirt, sees the symbol indicating she is a second-level alchemist. Xiao is surprised because she seems very young for this. While Su Muhan is focused on the herb in her hand, Xiao thanks her for the help and says he would pay double the market value for the assistance. And so, Su Muhan begins preparing the herb, while Ji and Xiao just watch everything happening. Green and yellow energy begin to spread around the place. Su Muhan takes a bottle and says, "Dan Sung," and the energy starts to enter the bottle. Xiao thanks her, and when he goes to pay, Su Muhan says there's no need, as it was just a favor she did for them. People start to run and scream, saying the auction has started, and there is a terrestrial-level sword in the auction. Su Muhan just watches, surprised by all this. Su Muhan starts to leave the place and says there's no need to pay. Xiao thinks he needs to buy a good weapon for Ji, and there is a terrestrial-level sword in the auction. Xiao thinks that if he can buy everything useful in the auction and give it to Ji, he would earn a fortune in rewards from the system. Then, Xiao calls Ji to follow him to the auction. Ji accepts and is happy, as she has not been to one before. On the second floor of the Tianji building, the auction is happening. In the center, there is a person presenting the items. In their hands, there is a 1,000-year-old ironwood whip, infused with spiritual energy, embedded with spiritual stones to multiply its power, capable of killing and being upgraded to the Zhuan lower realm. The starting price is 30,000 low-class stones. Z stands up, happy, and shouts, 100,000. The others are very annoyed, as they bid very high on all the items. Normal people can't keep up with all this money. Su Muhan, watching this, just stays silent. The presenter announces a superior class melted core fire lotus. The presenter says that after testing, the quality of this lotus is exceptional, and for this reason, the starting price is 1 million low-class spiritual stones. Su Muhan, all shy, thinks this is her only chance to get the melted core lotus, but Z, not caring about anything, stands up again, all happy, saying she offers 2 million. Su Muhan just fills her eyes with tears and is disbelieving. The other people say they can't cover that value, and it was over. It was expected that the rich would take it again. The presenter hits the gavel, saying it was sold to Xiao for 2 million. Xiao, with his money bag, starts to think, who was the crazy one who said money wouldn't bring happiness? Z just looks at Xiao. The presenter brings the lotus to Xiao's table, congratulating him on the acquisition. Z is impressed by the beauty of the lotus. Su Muhan, looking at them, wonders if they really will buy everything there. Su Muhan starts to feel a bit sad, because she really needed the melted core, and was thinking of asking Xiao to let her keep it. But Su Muhan was afraid of the response she might get from Xiao. However, she gathers courage and approaches Xiao's table, calling out to him. Z, upon seeing Su Muhan, becomes joyful and asks if she wasn't the alchemist from earlier. But Su Muhan does not respond and simply kneels in front of Xiao, saying her father was a martial artist, but had gone too far. And thus, she needs the help of the fire lotus. Then, Su Muhan begs Xiao to sell her the fire lotus, emphasizing that she would repay the favor by working hard for Xiao. Ji, moved by this, asks her master. Xiao says that now the lotus belongs to Ji, so she could do whatever she wants with it. As soon as Xiao says this, the system notifies that it was detected that the host gave his apprentice a superior grade core-fused fire lotus, and the reward is 5 times greater, a 5th class core-fused fire lotus. Z becomes overjoyed with this and says that if that's the case, then she would give it. But before anything can happen, a rope with an iron tip comes towards them. Ji quickly realizes and defends the attack. After this surprise attack, Ji asks who was doing this. The people there start to scream that a fight was about to begin. A man holding this rope calls Ji a little shit and points to another man, saying he is his master and would offer 3 million to buy the lotus. The people are shocked, as 3 million is a large amount for an ordinary person. This man is Wang Ronger. He is the son of the lord of Luoyun City. Wang Ronger mockingly says that 3 million would be nothing for Su Muhan. As soon as Su Muhan sees him, she looks a bit scared, and Xiao notices this. The people start to comment that Wang Ronger began to harass Su Muhan again. They highlight that since Su Muhan inherited the position of family head, Wang Ronger has been harassing her relentlessly. The subordinate who had attacked stands up again and yells that these 2 bitches should stand up and offer the lotus with both hands, as Wang Ronger wanted it. Ji puts a hand on her hip and says they would not sell, just because Wang Ronger wanted it. Su Muhan runs over and asks Ji not to be so impulsive, and pleads with Ji not to offend those people. This leaves Ji and Xiao a bit confused. Xiao says it seems like Su Muhan has some connection with that man. Su Muhan starts to explain, saying that man is the son of the lord of Luoyun City and could be considered the supreme lord there. Su Muhan says that once Wang Ronger came to her door asking for her hand in marriage, but Su Muhan did not accept. After that, Wang Ronger began to follow her everywhere, non-stop, day after day. Su Muhan apologizes and says all this trouble was caused because of her. Then she offers 50,000 spirit stones as an apology and says she is leaving. Xiao, seeing all this, thinks Su Muhan does not despair over anything, even needing medicine for her father. She did not despair when things did not go her way, not to mention she is a second-level alchemist at such a young age. Xiao becomes quite excited about this situation and thinks it really would be worth teaching a woman like this. Xiao calls Su Muhan and tells her to wait a bit, as he would give her the lotus and give Wang Rongger a beating. But there was one condition. This leaves Su Muhan completely surprised. Su Muhan turns around running and asks what that condition would be. Xiao opens his fan again and says she just needed to worship him as her master. Su Muhan screams, saying she accepts. As long as Xiao saves her father, she would do anything. Su Muhan kneels and calls Xiao master. She asks him to accept this small token of respect. Xiao accepts and says that from today, she would be his second disciple, and asks her to stand up. The system window opens again and informs, "Congratulations to the host for accepting a new disciple. It was detected that the disciple has the human-level alchemy heart. The success rate of alchemy increases by 30%. The return reward was doubled, and the host obtained the alchemy heart, terrestrial level. The success rate of alchemy is increased by 70%. The information of the disciple Su Muhan was scanned and is being opened in the information panel. Name, Su Muhan. Identity, true second disciple. Understanding 60. Aptitude, 50. Talent, human-level alchemy heart, upgradable. Requirement, elixir improvement." Xiao, seeing all this, is a bit surprised. He just laments the fact that Su Muhan's aptitude and understanding are somewhat average. Thus, it seems she has to follow the path of infusing and transmitting the power of the alchemy heart. She raises her sword and says that in that case, she would be there to help. Xiao tells Ji to kill everyone there for him. Ji, without hesitation, agrees and attacks everyone there. The man who had attacked before thinks Ji is just a show-off and prepares to attack again. But Ji lands a kick on the man's face that even knocks out one of his teeth, throwing him hard against the wall behind. Wang Rongger, seeing this, widens his eyes and is shocked. Ji says she's had enough of this type of person who thinks too highly of themselves and has no power at all. Wang Rongger, trembling with fear and with a quivering voice, points to Ji asking how she dares to hit his people and asks if Ji knows who his father is. Ji charges at Wang Rongger, saying it doesn't matter who his father is. She would beat him up just the same, until his father can no longer recognize him. Wang Rongger starts crying and tells Ji to leave and yells that if something happens to him, his father would not let her go unpunished. But suddenly, someone appears between the two and stops Ji's attack. She's a bit surprised, as she hadn't noticed this man was there. Xiao just watches all this. This man is called Nameless. He is Wang Rongger's bodyguard who is currently at the nascent soul level. Wang Rongger begins to smirk and mockingly says, "They were not brave, so why don't they continue like this?" Wang Rongger orders his bodyguard to beat up Ji and Xiao. Everyone was involved in this, so no one could escape. Ji just watches all this while Wang Rongger hides, like a chicken, behind his bodyguard. But his bodyguard said that the orders given to him were that he should ensure Wang Rongger's safety, but he would not interfere in his personal fights with other people. The auction presenter bangs the gavel and yells, asking what was happening there. The auction presenter says that anyone who fights inside, according to the rules, can be executed. Immediately he asks them to leave there because people who do not follow the rules of the Tianji house are not welcome there. Wang Rongger starts to withdraw, saying it would be easier for everyone this way. Before leaving, Wang Rongger tells Xiao and everyone there that it's better they control themselves in the city of Luoyun and not let him see them again. Ji was very angry, wanting to break everything, but Xiao just told her to control herself and called her to withdraw. Ji was still angry, saying that Wang Rongger was very conceited. She was not happy about it. Xiao just told her not to be so mean. The man from before asks Wang Rongger if they were really going to let them go, just like that, but Wang Rongger said it wasn't so easy to escape from him. As soon as they left there, they would catch them, as this would not break the rules of the Tianji building. Wang Rongger says they would execute Xiao and put his body at the city entrance, and with the girls, it would be a bit different. Already outside, one of Wang Rongger's subordinates was looking for Xiao but couldn't see them anywhere. Xiao was behind one of the walls and concentrates his magic and sends one of his swords to attack the three. The bodyguard sees the sword coming in time, then grabs his sword and tries to defend the attack. But Xiao's attack easily breaks the bodyguard's sword and goes directly to Wang Rongger, hitting him and throwing him to the ground. Xiao appears in front of the three. The subordinate from before yells at Xiao, asking how he dared to kill someone on the lands of the Tianji house. Xiao, very calmly, tells them not to be so foolish, as Xiao had waited for them to leave the Tianji house to kill him. Thus, he hadn't broken any of the rules there. This leaves the subordinate without answers. The bodyguard drops the rest of his sword on the ground and says that Wang Rongger was authoritarian, idiotic, and annoying, but the bodyguard was paid to protect him, and so he should be loyal to Wang Rongger. This means that if someone kills the person he was protecting, he should take the head of the perpetrator. Otherwise, the Wang family would hunt him to the ends of the earth. Then, the bodyguard prepares to fight. Xiao just offers a small smile on his face. Xiao begins to float, surrounded by his swords, and says that the bodyguard's sword is completely destroyed, and yet he wants to fight him. The bodyguard starts to grow scales on his body, saying he has beast blood, so his body is harder than a simple sword. Using a sword for him means nothing. It's just a matter of coexistence. Xiao, still very calm, looking at that, asks if he really thinks so. Xiao says he would love to test the strength of that, and launches his swords towards the bodyguard. The bodyguard catches the swords with his hand and breaks them in the middle, saying that was useless. Xiao remains calm and smiling, and asks if really not one of the 7 swords would be useful. A sword appears behind the bodyguard, leaving him surprised. He tries to catch the sword with his hand. Energy begins to fly everywhere while the bodyguard holds it and screams. Xiao calls his sword back and says that even though he caught the sword, his hand seemed quite injured. Xiao asks how he plans to defend the next sword and attacks again. The bodyguard says that indeed Xiao's technique is without a doubt impressive, but his beast blood allows him to heal quickly. Thus, his hand begins to heal and change shape, which leaves Xiao a bit apprehensive. The bodyguard manages to catch the sword again with his hand. As he holds it, he looks at Xiao and says that just the swords wouldn't be enough to kill him. But the bodyguard thinks that the power of Xiao's sword is really out of the ordinary, because just by holding a sword, the bodyguard almost exhausted all his strength. If Xiao launches one more of those swords, the bodyguard would be in trouble. The bodyguard looks at Xiao and says that apparently Xiao was already at his limit of strength. Xiao, looking at that, thinks what the bodyguard said is really true. The ordinary magic swords don't have much effect on him. However, this melted core fire lotus that Xiao had obtained from the system is cultivated by absorbing the purest fire element from the world, and is perfect for refining weapons. Xiao takes this moment to refine his equipment, and thus, a huge golden sword appears in front of him. Xiao says that this sword is extraordinarily dominant. Just by looking at it, Xiao is extremely happy. Xiao picks up the sword in his hand, very happy, and names it Happiness Fire. Xiao returns to the battle and launches his sword, telling the bodyguard to have a lot of fun with his arrogant friend. The bodyguard tries to defend with his arm, and as soon as the sword hits, he feels enormous pain. His arm is all cut up and smoke coming out of his body. The bodyguard, confused, wonders what kind of fire element that is and thinks this is not good. The bodyguard starts to concentrate and creates an energy barrier around himself while Xiao's swords were on their way, surrounding him. The bodyguard thinks that this shield he created won't last long. Looking at Xiao, the bodyguard thinks he definitely won't be able to face Xiao. If it continues like this, he would surely die. Xiao, seeing the bodyguard in trouble, says he still hadn't finished. Then, the sword that was in the bodyguard's hand starts to tremble and releases from the bodyguard's hand, breaking the barrier from inside out with extreme ease. Suddenly, all the swords are upon the bodyguard, and he can do nothing more. The bodyguard accepts defeat, lowers his head, and tells Xiao that he would accept anything. Xiao could kill him or damage his cultivation if he wished. Xiao just smiles and calls all his swords back to himself. The bodyguard, seeing this, does not understand why Xiao was sparing his life. Xiao says that if the bodyguard feels comfortable admitting defeat, then he would spare his life. Xiao thinks the bodyguard is a bit arrogant, but is a truly strong man with a strong determination. Xiao turns and begins to walk away, saying his name is Xiao, and that if one day the bodyguard wants to seek revenge, it would be a pleasure to fight him again. Xiao turns and says, however, that once a bodyguard fails in his mission, someone would come to collect that debt. Thus, the bodyguard should try to survive. This leaves the bodyguard completely scared. Xiao joins Ji and Su Muhan and says they would now go after Su Muhan's father to help him. Su Muhan thanks him, and Ji is all happy, saying how amazing Xiao is. The bodyguard watching the three leave thinks that Xiao is so young and has so many achievements, which is really something extraordinary to see. The bodyguard begins to retreat and thinks that if he survives the Wang family's hunt, he definitely wants to meet Xiao again. After some time, they arrive at the mansion. Su Ji, seeing this huge house, says that Su Muhan seems to come from a very wealthy family. Ji says that in her father's time, the Su mansion was indeed prosperous. But since Su Muhan took over as the family representative, the Su mansion has been declining day by day. Now it is far from what it used to be. Su Muhan says Xiao should not have killed Wang Ronger because his father, Wang Cheng, besides being the city lord, is also an elder of the Luo Yun sect. Su Muhan says that in the past, Wang Cheng followed the current sect leader in several dangerous situations, thus, they have a very close relationship. By provoking him, probably in the future, Xiao would have trouble. Ji gets angry and says that if Wang Cheng were to come after them, she herself would make sure Wang Cheng would not return, as the Luo Yun sect was her main goal from the start. Su Muhan is happy and opens the door for them to enter. As soon as they open the door, they see a man sitting there. This man is named Su Hongyuan. He is Su Muhan's second uncle. As soon as she opens the door, he shouts her name and punches the chair. Her uncle calls her unworthy and asks how she dares to return there, leaving Su Muhan a bit surprised. Su Muhan asks why her uncle was there, and all the clan elders were also present. Ji is already a bit apprehensive about all this. Xiao is already on alert, as he noticed these guys were not friendly. A woman points her finger at Su Muhan, and begins to say that Su Muhan should not even dare to ask that, because if they had not come there, they would never know that the Su family had been sold by Su Muhan herself. This woman is Su Muhan's third aunt, named Su Runyue. She asks Su Muhan how she dared to take advantage of her older brother's great injury to take advantage of the Su family's property in the Celestial Destiny Pavilion. Su Muhan says it's not like that. She did not do this for any profit, but rather to buy the lotus and save her father's life. Her aunt asks where this lotus she claims to have bought is. Su Muhan takes the lotus out of her bag and shows it, saying she was completely happy to have gotten this lotus. Her uncle stands up and tries to forcefully take the lotus from Su Muhan. He is currently at the 6th level of the Golden Core. In terms of strength, Su Muhan turns around, scared, shouting for her uncle to stop, but before Su Muhan could see, Xiao steps in front of her with all his swords pointed at them and says he wanted to see who there would dare to touch a hair on Su Muhan. As soon as Su Hongyuan sees all of Xiao's power, he thinks it is something out of the ordinary, and clearly the power difference between them was glaring. Su Hongyuan realizes he couldn't even touch someone like Xiao, so he tries to flee from there at all costs. But suddenly, a sword hits the wall right in front of him, making him stop, and as soon as he notices, his entire body had been surrounded by swords on the wall.
If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and like the video. Thank you.